hello, and today Uncle Data is going to talk with Justinas Kuizinas, who's a CTO at PyConLT Technologies. So hello, Justinas.
Hey.
Nice to have you here, and some of the things what I wanted to talk with you about, right? So let's start, with the, what piqued my interest is PyConLT Technologies as a company, right, is one of those who actually has internships for actual Python, right? It's not that obvious, in general development community in Lithuania, right? So
True.
Can you talk about this initiative, from your side?
Yeah, sure. So we as PyConLT Technologies mainly specifically focus on the web development and on the platform custom software solution development. And since Python is one of our main programming languages on the backend side, we've been working for already 7 years in Lithuania, and a different part of this development, we thought that probably we're not doing something super special. Probably it's very common in and maybe we're not doing that good enough. But since more developers started joining our company, they started noticing that, hey guys, you're doing some really great stuff, some really interesting solutions, some really quality solutions. And at that point, we just imagined that, okay, probably we can start sharing that in the community. And one of the first things how we thought that we can start sharing that is the academy / internship, you name it. And specifically in Lithuania, in Vilnius, I might be mistaken, but we surely tried looking for Python academies, for those Python academies where you totally join the company and not join on some random project, right? Where you just start working on the project and who survived this project are eligible to stay at the company. But the actual academy where the guys just join and they work on the theory, on the practical side, focusing on the practical side, and for their own interest, for working in a team. So this is how that idea came up. And we really wanted to share all the good practices, our knowledge, how we imagine one or another thing going up. We had talking about that internship. We really had super active our team members who just joined and tried giving lectures about one or another specific topic. So yeah, that was surely very interesting one. And according to the feedback of the academy trainees, they really liked it. And the interesting fact was that some of the trainees, they had already participated in some other internships, like Source Academy and so on and so forth. And they truly valued that this one was truly focusing on the outcome and on giving you particular knowledge rather than just picking up the ones who will survive your internship. So yeah, that's in short.
So no Hunger Games, right? Okay, and I guess since now IT becoming quite a desirable profession, right? So how would you from a lot of applicants, I assume you have, right? How would you choose the ones who gets into this?
Yeah, the process how we did that. Firstly, definitely we tried collecting as many applicants as possible. So the first phase was just solving a very simple Python task and just uploading your code on the application. So we tried reaching all the universities in Vilnius, because specifically we really wanted to do that in-house, not the remote internship, because we truly believe that especially the learning process is definitely much more efficient when you're sitting, right in front of the, teacher or the lecturer. So it was our first point of the interest to collect that. So we tried searching in Vilnius University, in VGTU, and all the colleges. Then we definitely sent the forms for the task in coding schools. So we tried collecting all various aspects from all the various applicants. After submitting the task, we just had the evaluation of this task. So we tried spending time evaluating the task, what's the solution, whether it's not very, first of all, how does that look like? Secondly, whether it's working, probably most primarily. And thirdly, whether it's not complicated enough. That was also quite one I would say subject how we evaluate the tasks. And because sometimes it's very simple task, and the guys just send us like, I don't know, over 300 lines of code, which is not even doing what it's supposed to do. So yeah, funny thing. And after that, also what must be pointed out, that on the Corner technology side, this wasn't our first internship. It was our first internship of the Python, but previously in the history we have also conducted JavaScript's front-ends academy as well. So we also took a lot of experience from that academy, all the good and bad things as well, considering all those points. And what we did differently compared from the JavaScript academy, we also conducted live interviews. They were very short. From the probably we interviewed majority, definitely the majority side, maybe even all of them. I just can't remember currently. And just very short, half-an-hour interviews about how did the task go, what's your background, what are your goals. And this was truly a blast, because when we compare the results from the, when you only look at the code and from the programming side, with the interviews scores as well, that was sometimes very big difference, because some guys just resolved the task, and once you join the interview, they're like, I just solved that. I'm not even looking for the internship. I just want something to do for a month or two during the summer. And definitely for those guys, probably you're trying to look for the candidates who are truly focusing on that thing, and they really want to invest their time, because from our side, the investment was truly huge. Once we asked our finance guy, how much that might have cost for the company, he said, "You don't want to know." So yeah, the investment was truly huge, but yeah, the guys really joined voluntarily. Sometimes even spend some nights to prepare for the topics. So yeah, this was mainly coming back to the evaluation part. This was probably one of the main ones.
Okay. And like this kind of, if it like in my question now is going to be from a different angle, right? So you're already shaping or creating like your company, right, as Python 1 based, right? Majority of it, like you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
You have internships on that, right? And let's go to the next topic, is the meetups, right? Because we talked before the recording a bit about them. So like it looks like you're trying to squeeze into the whole Python like community landscape as like one of the top contributors, or like community facilitators, right? So let's talk about the meetups then, because that's the interesting part, because I think they kind of died out like 2-3 years ago when the COVID started.
Even before.
Yeah, somewhere there, because there was a huge decline. We had like, I think, meetups, couple even happening each week, and then you have to choose, I want to go here or there, like this might work for me or not, and then it died out, right? So can you share, how did you decide, to raise that topic back, how you're choosing the topics, or,
Yeah, truly good question. And the answer was our guild talks. Every week internally we have guild talks on Fridays, which are happening for an hour and a half. And basically during that hour and a half, we just join from all the various projects with all the various experiences within our company, all the backend guys. And we try to share, something which we found out interesting, maybe some headaches which we had throughout the week, or maybe some, I don't know, genius ideas which we found out or just created. And during these guild talks, we truly touch a lot of very, very interesting points. While you alone as a developer, you might not even come up at one point or another. So from those guild talks, even after more developers join up, just maybe moving a little bit further, once a new developer comes in, I always ask after 3 months, did I lie? Did I lie about anything? During the interviews, during the initial talks, because I really like to put it like we have it, like at our company. And the majority of times they say, no, that's basically what I expected, it's all right. And then my another question is, what maybe could be added so that, it would make the full experience known before joining the company. And in majority of times it was guild talks. So because they are saying that once they join up, guild talks are truly that experience which when all the senior developers, even junior developers share, which might not be so obvious when you're working on your project and might help you to resolve as many bugs before digging up into them. So yeah, basically guild talks at that point is that point which truly contributed to coming to Python community, because we truly had very interesting ideas, and then we thought about the Vilnius Pi is not happening. Sadly, no one is trying to put that step to make them live. Maybe let's try. So after previous PyCon, we just had a discussion at the PyCon conference with the organizers. I just asked them, what's your idea on the Pi meetups? Whether you're trying to revive them or not. They said, we would like to, but there is not much, I would say, ideas coming up from various companies. Because sometimes ones say that it's too much of an investment. Sometimes we don't have many topics. Our guys are busy. So we said, okay, let's try. So the first Vilnius Pi meetup took a while to organize because of the dates, the scheduling. So it happened on December, if I'm not mistaken, just before the holidays. So it was really hard to find attendees to the Vilnius Pi event because of the holidays. And the second meetup was back in March, something like that. So yeah, then we collected a little bit more of the attendees. And the next one is we're planning to host on maybe September, something like that, after the summer.
There is a call for papers, no?
We will definitely do that, because we truly don't want to be the only ones who are organizing it. We definitely want input. I have already contacted some of the top Python companies. Whether you would like to co-host, we're definitely up for the talks. Maybe you want to share the venue, so from time to time that it wouldn't be always in our office. So yeah, we have this contact, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that during the summer we will come up with some plan.
Okay, so you mentioned one interesting thing, is the guild talks and guilds in general, right? And from my experience, in different companies, when they have, the guild name, right, it sometimes means completely different. So can you, shed more light, on this?
Yeah, mainly we have 3 dark sides, as I like to call 3 guilds. It's basically project managers, front-enders, and the back-enders. Those 3 eternal guilds. So from the backend perspective, mainly Python, but front-enders are definitely not locked from joining guild talks. So yeah, definitely we vary. So some backenders sometimes join the front-end talks with presenting some topic, like a guest. But yeah, mainly this means that the Python, we sometimes have some Java or Node.js developers, so they are also joining, giving their ideas, and in the long run, it really gets even a better experience, because, for example, on the Python side, we're talking about some things, but then the front end or the Node.js guys comes in from the TypeScript experience, and they add up on the typing, how this can be done, how TypeScript handles that. And those discussions really evolve into something interesting.
Okay, and then controversial question: why majority of is focused on Python?
Good question. Actually, probably how we started that was from the Django, because we had one consultant which helped in our company just quickly quickly deliver one project. And the Django was truly excellent for that purpose, with all the batteries included, all the automatic admin functionality. So, and we kind of locked up for that one. And since we're not focusing on Lithuania, we're focusing on all the other markets, on America, Asia, Central Europe. They really like Python as well. So it's pretty also convenient to have it Python as the main selection. And once you put it like that, that you're focusing on the Python and you're truly experts on the Python and not all the backend programming languages, they truly like that.
Okay. And why would you say, like that other companies, like in other countries, right, they like Python? What would you say, is the selling points of it?
Probably the main selling point is the development speed, because you mainly focus on the logic which you have to write rather than templating maybe some other boundaries which you must think about when you're programming on the other programming languages. Because for example, I've tried Golang as well. I had and the JavaScript as well. So with those programming languages, they are truly perfect ones, and once you use them correctly at the right place at the right time, they definitely can benefit you at most. But from the Python perspective, I really like the community and all the possibility and all the variety of libraries. In case you're looking for something related to networking, you will have tons of libraries to choose from. When compared from the Golang's perspective, I had this very specific task where I had to work with the VPN solution on the hard. I just tried Googling, for this purpose, how many Golang libraries are here. So there were just quite a few, and some of them were not maintained. And from the Python perspective, there were tons of them. You just have to choose which one you want to use.
Okay. What would you say then, are the most frequently used frameworks in your case?
On our side, in majority of times we choose Django. Basically, as I mentioned, for the purpose of quick development, because you have all the batteries included, loggings, middlewares, all the ecosystem is very mature, and because it's been there for ages, like already 20 years for the Django. It should be something like this or next year. So yeah, this is definitely one of the main selling points. The second thing is probably for the Django is about the structure, because Django has got that suggested structure, which you, in case you follow that, you're quite sure that you will be doing things good. While on the, for example, Flask API side, on the Flask side, once we join some project on the Flask, you will have a variety of structures, and basically you will have to choose from the structure which you want to follow on those projects. So yeah, so Django is the main one, and from the other perspective, the other half what we're working on is probably pure Python projects, but then focusing on the cloud native side, where you're taking the full advantage of the cloud native solutions rather than the advantages of the framework.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead now and for question side. So I saw, that some of Justinas' colleagues joined, they were like super eager, I'm gonna, ask questions here now, right? So do you have questions? Let's start from this side because, they were super eager. Do you have? Oh.
I have already answered all the questions for them.
It's like, just showing off before, getting on screen, right? So, but from the others, right? Do you have any question for Justinas in general on corner case and on anything Python related, what they do and whatnot?
So you've mentioned the strong sides of your choice of technology, Python and Django. What are the weak sides?
Yeah, good question. The weak sides, because sometimes from the client perspective, once they ask, what main backend technologies you're choosing, we're saying Python, and then in majority of times we get this question, what about the performance? Right, the Python's performance, which is definitely a very valid point, but so far in our projects, we truly had tons of projects of various sizes, and so far we have not spotted that the Python at that scope would be a blocker. Once you maybe go into the big games, into the big companies, then definitely yes, when you have to have it like in a matter of a click. Then probably yes, some specific technologies would definitely suit you better. But so far for the platforms, for the web, for the mobile applications, Django, Python, cloud native, especially when you're using cloud native properly, it's not yet a big problem. And the Python is definitely trying to cope up with that, trying to follow that. If I'm not mistaken, with the Python 3.14, the author of the Python is expecting even a higher focus on the performance side. So yeah, this is sometimes put it as the con of the Python, but to reach that con, I think you will reach quite some path. You will have to go quite some path to reach that. Another thing is maybe typing, I would say, because compared to the TypeScript, it's very strict typed. Maybe even going into more into Golang, for example, right? It's very strictly typed, and maybe you don't have these problems over there once you define types properly. So on the Python side, typing is, first of all, it doesn't come up as the requirement for the typing. You have to use some other third-party libraries to check your types, to validate them. They are not strictly typed by default. They are not requiring strict types by default. So this might be two problematic sides. And maybe third one, since there is no templating, it's quite easy for you to go off the structure in case you're not handling your project carefully. But probably with every programming language, you can get this result.
Any more?
Can I add one?
Sure, even
Right.
two.
So thank you for the discussion. I was interested if you would take away all of the know-how that you have of the Django ecosystem in Python, and let's say you would start a new company, right? Do you think you would still choose a similar stack starting a new company, or would you take something more modern, like, I don't know, Fast API or something completely different? Maybe you wouldn't even go for Python there.
Yeah, interesting question. It's really, I would use this popular term, it depends, right? Good question. I don't know. Probably currently, you have to weigh in pros and cons, right? In case we would choose Golang, which is definitely very popular, getting truly a bigger community, but then you compare how hard it is to hire the developers of the Golang, especially in Lithuania, probably this is the thing which you might not follow. Right. At that point, when I did not start this company, I just joined it once it was 1 year old. Right. At that point, I talked to the co-founders. They said that Java was also one of the main, I would say, solutions to also go in line with the Python. But currently Java is not getting this popularity anymore. It's mainly yes, there are still tons of projects with the Java. But maybe .NET is also quite a viable solution, especially in Vilnius. There are tons of companies using .NET for the backend. Yeah, quite interesting question. So, but probably Python is still there as an option, I would say, and probably I will still go with the Python. From the framework side, Django is still one of the main players inside the community for the monoliths. And the Fast API is maybe not so comparable with the Django, because Fast API is more for the microservices projects, right? When you have some small projects, and once you go big, you might have to do everything by yourself. What compared with the Django does you under the hood. So for the monoliths, probably Django is still a viable solution, I would say, even nowadays. And Fast API, we're also truly considering that when starting a project. And we already had one solution for the microservices project, so we already started using that. I can't say that we're already professionals on that side, but yeah, definitely Fast API is one of the main picks when you're choosing a framework of Pythons today.
Thank you.
So this one is a question about corner case in particular. You mentioned you have guild meetings, so I guess you guys have a lot of communication on what's good and what's bad to do. I wonder, in corner case, what's the how do people view the object-oriented programming, and in particular the solid patterns? And in very particular, I wonder, could you tell me from 1 to 10 how popular is dependency injection, especially keeping in mind that you guys are using Django?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I will try to handle.
Not dependency injection, dependency inversion, because there are various ways to achieve that.
Okay, and when talking about dependency inversion, how do you see that in the Django?
Well, that's the point, right? Django does not natively enhance that. So I wonder, do you guys try to build something out of the box, go out of your way to do it, or you're just like, oh, so Django is not asking us to do that, telling us to do that, so we're just not gonna do it? I'm wondering, like.
Okay. Specifically, we have not raised this problem yet, a very, underlying problem of the Django. So we have not yet reached something that we would need specifically think about, dependency inversion. Or I might have not correctly understood your question. So from the Django side, we're not actually quite differently handling that. Or maybe you have some specific use case which would help us to come to this question.
Just regular client requirements and business logic and connecting together business logic models.
Yeah. For example, from the Django's perspective, we had one use case when we also wanted to bring the onions. I don't know, in case that's about that, like the onion architecture inside the Django. So definitely Django is not natively, very friendly about that, because the Django is mainly purpose is to have this whole ecosystem for the businesses, right? So all the OEMs, all the logging solutions, all the middlewares, all the caching solutions. So from that perspective, we had that, and that worked quite nicely, when you're handling that onion structure. But from the other perspective, definitely we're coupling business logic with the Django, just to use the Django most efficiently as you can within your project.
So the score is low.
From that perspective, yes. In case you're trying to decouple that from the Django, so you couple that with the Django so that you would get the most out of the Django.
Thank you.
Anyone else? If no, so my last question, to wrap it up. So what would your advice be, for anyone doing anything with Python?
Definitely don't stop learning. That's probably the main point, right? So yeah, definitely don't stop learning. Try to go to the conferences, to the meetups. Try to find some mentors, especially if, in case you're starting up. Even in the Python community, I spotted inside the Python Lithuania channel that sometimes guys just post, I'm starting with the Python, I'm looking for some mentors. Are there any ones volunteering? So there are tons of mentors who would definitely up for helping you. So definitely start with that. And try doing something instead of just, trying to look for some place to work. Because when we're hiring, we're definitely looking what is the background, what this guy is doing, not only on the job, but maybe some GitHub repository, some mini projects which you're doing. So these are probably the main two things. And don't let maybe failed interviews disappoint you, because out of the failure, all the successes can come up.
Cool, thank you. So thank you for everyone who is listening, for the questions, and thank you, Justinas, for talking with me, and have a nice day.
Good. Bye.